Glad to have you join us on this edition of the show. 2021 will certainly be an interesting year when it comes to cybersecurity and privacy issues, with WhatsApp already proving that big tech companies will most likely push harder to get more out of their various free services. My guest on the show is a cybersecurity consultant and has quite a lot to share as 2021 kicks off in earnest. This and more coming up on Tech Trends today. I am Chukwemeka Agbata. Welcome.
We know that when it comes to technology and the economy, if you're not constantly moving forward, then without a doubt, you're moving backwards. In every country, city or state, there are laws set up to protect the rights of citizens and residents. But how useful can these laws be to the citizens if they aren't aware of them, struggle to make sense of them, or view them as boring and abstract? To create a better understanding of the law and to encourage every citizen to handle civil justice problems professionally, a legal IT research tools provider has developed Law Rights. It's a mobile application dedicated to educate and enlighten citizens about their rights as provided by the Constitution and other relevant laws in Nigeria. They found it a need to let citizens know about their rights and help them affirm it.
We found that to a very large extent, especially in Nigeria, that people tend to visit or liaise with their neighbors, families and friends when they have legal issues. For instance, if you perceive that a right has been breached, people tend to the first point of call will be their neighbors or their family members to tell them, look at what happened to me today and all of that. And then those ones will go ahead and give them legal advice as to, this is what you should do this, you should do that. But it turns out that a lot of the time, those advice will be ill-sought or ill-given, so that at the end of the day, the intended output is not what actually comes out of it. Probably because those that were even giving the advice are not in the proper place to give the advice in the first instance. So there came the need to let people know what their rights are. There's the need to let people know that, okay, this is your right. And then we realize that there are a lot of people that pass on what is their right. People don't actually know how to affirm their rights in this country. We let a lot of things slide by. But if you know your right, then you can be able to assert that this is my right, I'm entitled to this.
Law Rights seeks to reduce the ambiguity of the law by breaking it down using a question and answer format. In simple terms, it puts in the hands of its users important information on their fundamental human rights, dealing with law enforcement agencies, among other things.
What we did in Law Rights is to make sure that the ambiguity in the law, because some people, even the learned ones, the educated ones, so to speak, when they pick up the law and they read it, they often have the problem of properly interpreting what the law has said because of all these thou shalt and all of that, the legalese in the laws and all of that. So what we've done with Law Right is to break it down to the barest explainable terms, such that anybody on the street can pick it up, read it and understand that, okay, in clear words, this is what the law is saying.
The app also gives the public access to lawyers and law firms and, where necessary, initiate the process of adjudication where rights have been abused.
Okay, so this is the Law Rights app. It's available for download on Google Play Store and it's free. It has several features: my rights, my duties, general provisions. You could find a lawyer. You could consult the Constitution to see the full provisions, and you can report a violation if your right or someone else's right has been violated, which you would like to report. Now, under my rights, you have several topics that have been addressed there. You have child rights, doing business in Nigeria, the Omonile issue, police, taxation, electricity, crime generally, sex soliciting, immigration, employment, and on like that. And then if you click on any area that is of interest, you see the subtopics, and then there are questions under it. Now the questions and the answers provided under it, they've been done in such a way that it's easy to understand, it's seamless, it's not the ambiguous English that we find in the normal laws and provisions that we have in our country. It's easy to understand because this app is targeted at every citizen, the layman, the tech people, the lawyers, everybody in general. Now the duty is the same thing too. For every right, there's a duty on the part of another person. So here also you have the child right, you have police, you have taxation, you have VIO, you have matrimonial acts and divorce, you have insurance, you have several other topics that you can look through. And just like under the rights, when you click on them, you see some subtopics on that, and then you see the questions with their appropriate answers given under each of those heads. And same goes for the general provisions. These are provisions of the law that are neither rights nor duties. It's just a general provision. It's just what the law is saying regarding things that you need to know. You could find a lawyer here, depending on your location or on a practice area. You could search for a lawyer, so that if you don't particularly know a lawyer that you could talk to, through this app, you could find a lawyer that will be able to handle your case, and then you contact the lawyer. The Constitution, this is the full Constitution from the preamble up to the last section of the Constitution, which is section 320. Now, all the provisions of the Constitution is here, so that at any point in time, you could just get to pick it up and read what the Constitution is saying. You could also report a violation. You have to enable your location to be able to do this because it's essential so that they know who. So you select the agency that you want to report to. You could report to any of these agencies. Once you select the agency that you want to report to, you input your phone numbers, your location, and you make your report here. You tell them what exactly you want them to look into. So essentially that is what the law rights do, is to ensure that every citizen knows what their rights and duties are. They know what is expected of them under the law, so as to ensure that their rights are not trampled upon and that they remain law-abiding in the society.
With a goal to help bridge the gap between the people and the law, Law Rights wants to institutionalize legal technology in the Nigerian judiciary and put in the hands of citizens tips and legal provisions about fundamental human rights. It also provides a platform for reporting and tracking incidences of rights violation and injustice, linking victims with relevant agencies and regulatory bodies. A South Korean startup has developed an AI-powered dog collar that can detect 5 emotions in canines by monitoring their barks using voice recognition technology. The Pet Pulse collar can tell pet owners through a smartphone application if their dogs are happy, relaxed, anxious, angry, or sad. It also tracks dogs' physical activity and rest.
Peppers give a dog voice that human can understand. With this device, we humans can understand and communicate better, more accurately, more effectively.
데이터가 없어요. 아무 데이터가 없어요. 그거가 찍게 되면 이제 데이터가 뜨게 됩니다.
The company began gathering different types of barks to analyze dogs' emotions in 2017. 3 years later, they developed a proprietary algorithm based on a database of more than 10,000 samples from 50 breeds of dogs.
When dog barks, dog's barking sound will be collected through this device, and then those voice files will be transferred to our main server. And in this main server, our Pepper's unique voice recognition system and algorithm will analyze dog's voice, and then in real time, it was sent back to our application with a different emotional status. So you will see there is a different emotional status, including angry, anxious, and sad, and happy. And then dog owners will instantly realize that how their dog feels.
PetPaws Lab started marketing the collar online in October last year. Euromonitor data showed that as more people spent time at home with their pets or adopted pets during the COVID-19 pandemic, the global pet care market went up 34% in 2020, which was worth $138 billion. The global dog population also grew 18% the same year to 489 million. Cybersecurity has continued to remain top of mind and should be a priority for anyone who uses the internet. As developers continue to come up with leading-edge ways to counteract cyber attacks, hackers are getting smarter when breaking into IT systems. To protect your information online, here are a few cybersecurity tips. Avoid suspicious websites, pop-ups and emails. Pop-ups are quite common on the internet, but you must avoid clicking or opening them so you don't fall prey to phishing attacks. Only use sites with web addresses beginning with HTTPS and not HTTP. The extra S in these addresses stands for secure, and if you want to shop online, use familiar payment methods or your credit or debit card if you know the site is safe. Don't share confidential information. Never share your passwords or confidential information with anyone. Simple details like your date of birth can be used to guess your password and break into your data. So to be cyber safe, share only to your comfort level. Anytime you feel uncertain about giving someone details, verify their credentials before moving forward. Create strong passwords. Your passwords are like a gateway to your digital identity, so you need to guard them properly by following basic password hygiene, like setting up unique passwords for all of your accounts. That way, if one account is hacked, the others are still secure. Changing your passwords at least every 3 months. Enable two-factor authentication and using a combination of random letters, symbols, or paraphrases among others. Also, avoid sharing your passwords or making them visible to others. Use antivirus software and keep it updated. Antivirus software is your computer's built-in security system. It will defend your device against scams, viruses, and phishing attempts. Whether it's your smartphone or work laptop, keep them updated. Update your internet browser. Internet browsers release regular updates to prevent cybersecurity threats. Similar to your computer's antivirus software, update your internet browser anytime you are prompted. Then, your information will be safer when you access websites.
Coming up is my chat with Remy Afon, a cybersecurity consultant. Stay with us.
Statistics from Cybersecurity Ventures predicted there will be a ransomware attack on businesses every 14 seconds at the end of 2019 and every 11 seconds by 2021. This does not include attacks on individuals, which occurs even more frequently than businesses. Same source also forecasts cybercrime will cost the world $6 trillion annually by 2021, growing by 15% per year over the next 5 years. By 2025, the figure is expected to reach 10.5 trillion US dollars, up from 3 trillion US dollars in 2015. The latest prediction is that global ransomware damage costs will reach $20 billion in 2021, which is 57 times more than it was in 2015. This makes ransomware the fastest growing type of cybercrime. Cybercrime is the greatest threat to every company in the world and one of the biggest problems with mankind. In 2020, there was a need for an ecosystem of remote work to avoid the COVID-19 pandemic, causing an increase in cyber attacks and breaches. Some governments, organizations, companies, and even individuals were not prepared for the digital makeover, so most paid a heavy price for such attacks. As the global cyber surface expanded, hackers took advantage of the gaps in new remote work environments. They stepped up their game and expanded their attack surface to unsuspecting and unprepared environments. Now that working from home has become commonplace, governments, organizations, and individuals need to secure their access and step up security tools to prevent a hack on their networks, because no matter how advanced their defenses are, hackers are continuously devising new methods to get more sophisticated as they gain access to confidential data. On this week's edition, our guest is Remy Afon, a cybersecurity assurance consultant, and he shares with us how we can better protect ourselves when using digital services.
Remy, glad to have you on the show today.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me today.
Awesome. So how would you describe the cybersecurity landscape globally in 2020?
2020 has been a very interesting year, due to a lot of reasons. One, the pandemic, especially in Nigeria, talking about NSAS as well. Those are the factors that were quite interesting in 2020. Also, the pandemic resulted in a lot of people working remotely, working from home, new way of working. So this resulted in a lot of interesting activities in terms of organizations trying to adapt to a new way of working, making sure there's security in terms of how they collaborate with their colleagues at work. And also looking at the NSAS protests, which resulted in a lot of activism in Nigeria. Activism is a situation whereby people put a protest online and they try to take down some other organizations, some government organizations, sending what we call a denial of service attacks on them, and some other activities to show their kind of grievances against the government.
Interesting. Let me ask you this question. As we go into 2021, what are some of the emerging trends that you see in both the cybersecurity landscape as well as privacy with the new, WhatsApp rules by Facebook? What are your thoughts?
There's going to be a massive increase in email-based attacks, and we're talking about BEC, business email compromise, phishing, spear phishing, and just in November, a couple of Nigerians were arrested that were involved in over 150 countries attack. They were involved in attacking about 150 countries using the BEC technique, business email compromise. And that's just what business email compromise is: just targeting the CEOs, targeting the financial controllers of big organizations, and pretending to be them and sending emails to steal their information, to divert them to make money into their own account rather than legitimate third parties' account. So we're going to continue to see that in 2021. There's going to be continuous identity theft. Identity theft from cyber criminals. And there's also going to be, you mentioned Facebook, WhatsApp, the new the updates of their terms and policies. So there's going to be greed on the part of organizations like social media companies to continuously mine our data, to continuously look for our data and monetize it. Data is now the new oil. So they're making millions, if not billions of dollars in terms of data. So they will continuously be greedy to get more of our data, and people will, gladly release their personal information. For example, the new terms and conditions, they can submit all your information from WhatsApp to Facebook. They can trace your IP address, know where you are. So there's no privacy anymore. But there's a limitation to that. There are some places where those kind of things are not acceptable. There's a limited amount of information they can mine in Europe, for example, because we've got GDPR.
So what about Nigeria?
Nigeria, there's no data protection law. That's just the fact.
But there's NDPR.
There is NDPR. It's just advisory as far as I'm concerned. We need a law, that will protect people's data. NDPR, have you heard of anybody that has been punished based on data protection, data theft? Have you got anybody that have been punished? Have you seen? So the issue is that we need a law, and we need, and to be honest with you, the data protection regulation has been passed. The law has been passed by National Assembly, both lower house and the upper house, but the president is yet to assent to it, which is quite questionable. Why is it that the president has not assented to that law? So if that's been done, it becomes a law, then it will be difficult for companies like Facebook, Google, and some other organizations to just go away with our data and start monetizing it unnecessarily without people's consent.
Remy, as a president of the Cybersecurity Association of Nigeria, what do you and your members think about this hasty registration of national identity? Does it portend any cybersecurity threat for the country?
These are not just things that you just wake up one day and give people ultimatum within 2 weeks, within 1 month, we have to roll this out. So when you do things this way, you're going to compromise the security because you have not put in the consideration to security properly. So we should look at how is the data going to be stored? Are they going to be encrypted? Are they going to be transmitted? I understand they are using some third parties, a company, to handle the data. Are they certified? What's the qualification they've got in terms of data privacy and data protection?
Did you follow the dark web allegation of the data? Did you guys follow that?
Yeah, we did follow it. I personally saw the screenshots on LinkedIn by one of these organizations that claim that they are able to see the NIN number and tracking number in the dark web. Unfortunately, the NIMC, they kind of just push it aside and debunk that allegation, which is right. I would expect them to do a kind of threat intelligence, go into that dark web, look at the information there and know the level of, if there's any, because it's an allegation, look at the level of damages that must have been done and be able to learn some lesson from this and move on. You can't just say fake news and just forget about it.
So finally, time is never our friend on this show. I've asked you this question before and I'm asking you again. Do we have adequate resources as a country to protect ourselves in the face of an unexpected cyber attack?
Unfortunately, my answer has continuously been no. When you asked me this kind of question some years back, I said no. Last year, no. This year again, no. Unfortunately, we do not have the resources in place. We do not have the infrastructure in place. If there's a serious cyber attack now, it's going to expose us a lot. So, and that's the reason why we keep saying it. There's a need for, national cybersecurity unit within the organization that will be coordinating all the affairs of cybersecurity in Nigeria and also protecting the government, the critical infrastructure that we have in place, and also do a lot of research and development to ensure that Nigeria is ahead in terms of cybersecurity globally.
Remy, always a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you for the work that you guys do at Cybersecurity Association. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, and have a good day.
My guest has been Remy Afon, a cybersecurity consultant who believes that government still has quite a lot to do in terms of securing our cyberspace and ensuring that Nigerians across board are protected when using digital services, as well as keeping our national assets safe. Cybersecurity is no joke, and we should treat it with the seriousness it deserves. We've come to the end of the show. It doesn't end here. The conversation continues online. We are Tech Trends TV on social media. Also watch the show on Channels TV YouTube or cfablog.ng. For Tech Trends, I'm Chukwemeka Agbata.